I think smart companies are the ones that actually invest in downturns. Chief AI officer seems to be a lot more innovation heavy for
AI theater from real business value.
what I also see is mature organizations have built this into a system of sorts.
And what are the critical red flags in data quality or governance?
Everyone in the senior and middle management positions is asking the same question these days. Are we really ready for AI? In this episode of Data and AI Exchange, we are joined by Hitesh Seth, Chief Architect at Salesforce US, who has spent years building and scaling AI platforms for several industries like finance, insurance, and healthcare. Hitesh unpacks the real meaning of AI readiness beyond the hype and pilot projects and shares how leaders should think about data foundations and production grade AI agents before declaring any victory. Also joining me is my co-host Mr. Akshay Raj, CEO of Uno Labs. Welcome to Data and AI Exchange.
Thanks, Pratik. Yeah, glad to be
Yeah.
here.
No problem. Thank you, Hitesh. So, Hitesh, today we are discussing, how to assess AI readiness of an organization. So, when you walk into a new client, what are the first three signals that tell you that they are genuinely AI ready or not?
Yeah, very good question. So I typically, as you mentioned, I work with a lot of financial services and insurance and healthcare kind of customers. Right now, I focus exclusively on financial services and insurance, but I worked on healthcare and life sciences as well. As they say, data is really the core foundation for AI, right? So what I look for is, what are they? Where are they from a digital transformation journey? And that typically means, they have gone through upgrading their infrastructure from legacy systems. They are building digital experiences for customers, whether it is web-based experiences, mobile experiences, or even re-architecting their internal systems that they use for back office, front office kind of internal employees. So that gives you a signal that a company is getting ready or is actually mature in that. So how digital transformation, the keyword is really anchoring a lot of the discussions. The second thing is, where are they from a data journey? So, and in data you look at multiple things, right? You try to understand, have they gone towards data lake, data warehouse kind of a model where they have brought in data from multiple systems and multiple sources into a single structure, and then sort of create a validated it, cleaned it, and then sort of made a semantic model on top of it so that it can be consumed by their users. So that is their data assessment, right? And then AI, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I typically am not surprised if there is some level of investment or even AI capabilities in production. In financial services, you see a lot in risk management, fraud risk, credit risk kind of capabilities already. There is some AI also, implemented in personalization. So that's kind of where you kind of see these tool sets. And then I think the other thing that you are seeing these days is if a company has a chief data officer, chief AI officer, those are trends in saying that either the company is ready for an AI transformation or they're getting ready for it, right? So they are at least setting up the structure and capabilities for that.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Hitesh. So, just getting a bit deeper into this, how do you separate the what I call as AI theater from real business value? And what are the particular questions that expose the real AI readiness of an organization?
Yeah, meaning AI is you know, I mean, end of the day, there is going to be experimentation, right? So there is going to be some level of experimentation in AI. And, broadly speaking, you can sort of talk about AI in two ways, right? There is the predictive modeling or machine learning based AI. I mean, end of the day, everything is machine learning, but you sort of classify broadly into machine learning, and now in the new sort of world, generative AI, right? Which is all LLM based in that area. So number of customers that I talk to, or number of companies that I have worked for, typically have investments in predictive modeling, right? So whether it is a propensity to buy or propensity to convert to a platinum card, or what is the propensity to default, right? Will this customer pay their bill? That kind of stuff. Those are classical models written in typically XGBoost classification models. You create a set of data which are called features, and then you train your existing data with the ground truth and say this customer has this data sets, and this is he or she defaulted, and then you capture the various elements in it, and then you train a model, and then you tweak it, you tune it in different mechanisms, and that's then can be used to predict a model, and then say, okay, I am going to surface an ad to Hitesh, who has traveled in last year international trips, or his annual spend is about this much, and all of that kind of his annual salary is this much, all that kind of parameters. Using those features, you can then do a prediction, and the prediction can come up as yes or no, and then you also so that is your predictive value, and then you have a actual value, which is did I actually take the offer, and if I take the offer, then that means I have the prediction is close to where the real value is, and then I use that data. I mean, and the loop kind of continues. So a lot of places that is already in place, right? Depending on some organization, they have different pockets of them. What I also see is mature organizations have built this into a system of sort, right? So they have a infrastructure for building models, and it can be built in multiple ways. It could be built in like platforms like SaaS, which was very popular, many years ago, and is probably still being used by many companies. And then there are other techniques that are created for building models, and now you have these auto models, right, which you can actually build out based on without writing a program. You don't need a data scientist to be able to do that. But those are the kind of parameters that you can see whether it is just POCs or pilots, and those capabilities are in the flow of work, right? So when you are offering an offer to the customer for a enhanced credit card, or you are offering or you are increasing their credit limit, right? So it's in the flow of work or in the flow of business that you're making these decisions. That tells you that this customer is actually not just talking about AI, but they're actually doing it.
Yep, thanks, Hitesh. Our focus is on helping businesses achieve real, tangible value from their data and AI. So, in your view, what constitutes a minimum valuable data foundation, and what are the critical red flags in data quality or governance that tell you a project needs to be fixed before moving forward?
Yeah, so from a data platform perspective, or the core data foundation, right? Let's say you have a acquisition platform, you have a servicing platform, you have a risk platform, and you are getting data, and then you may have a collections platform for customers that have defaulted. So you have all these business platforms, right? So, and these platforms create data, right? So customers provide some data as part of acquisition. They enter their details. You then go to the credit bureau to get their information. I'm using a banking example, but these can apply in other areas. So you are collecting data. So you take that data and you provide it. Then you kind of that same customer, once their account is approved, then you create an account in your core platform, right? Core banking platform or credit card platform and that sort of stuff. And then you sort of, the customer pays their bill, and then you have payments associated with it. So these are the kind of business activities that are interconnected within the data. A core data foundation typically takes all of these data sources and data creation mechanisms and data enrichment mechanisms, and really gathers it into a data lake, a warehouse, right? Data lakes have been much more popular now, or becoming more popular, because you store data in like cheap sort of or relatively affordable, cheaper kind of platforms, where you separate the data, the storage and the compute. You can maybe storing data in S3, and then you might be computing using Redshift or Snowflake or anything like that to kind of build up your platform, or any other data cloud platform. So that sort of a model is there, in building out the capability. So that is your core, right? That is your core data that is created. And what you want to do is you want to take data as it is created in the core systems and being able to leverage it. Then you create the governance of the data is essentially saying, I'm going to get these data sets from this particular platform. I'm going to get this data set from this particular platform and this data set from this particular platform. He or she is the owner for this platform. So you assign data stewards or data owners associated with them. And that structure is supposed, changes. You can be dynamic or you can have static. Like if you add 10 fields to it or the data structure changes, that can also, make your job harder in terms of because the things are dynamic in nature. You can have a challenge with data governance as well.
Thanks, Hitesh. Thanks, Hitesh. Thanks a lot, for explaining, the definition at the same time with the use cases of data quality and data governance. I think, we understood very well what is, data strategy, data quality, and data governance. So, see, Hitesh, I see a common challenge, that while companies are eager to embrace AI, they often, struggle with a lack of a, cohesive data strategy. They might chase shiny, new use cases or get bogged down in complex long-term projects, leading to a lot of effort without clear results. We have seen with our previous experience and all. So from your perspective, right? Given your role in shaping data and AI architectures for some of the world's largest financial institutions, we would love to hear your insights. How do you prioritize and sequence use cases, balancing quick wins against strategic bets so that momentum builds without creating chaos?
Yeah, very good question. I mean, I think when you are building up your data platforms and when you are building out your AI platform and your teams, right, associated, whether it be your data science team or your AI engineering team, typically most organizations don't have the luxury of just saying, I want $10 million or $5 million to be able to work on it and without showing any value, right? So you have to show incremental sort of value at some sense. So you have to obviously have a level of support from your senior leaders, your board potentially, to really be able to invest in that capability. And talent is a very important aspect of it, right? And sometimes you can substitute or you can augment talent, with getting kind of some contractual resources. But in my opinion, a company has to look at their talent strategy very closely, right? Do they have the right kind of individuals to shape out the platform and areas associated with it? Are there systems in line with, like, for example, let's say you want to build out a machine learning capability that is relevant in the, what we call the streaming world, which is data is changing at a very fast pace, and you want to do machine learning in kind of as the data is shaping or as the data is in movement. But if your interfaces with your backend systems are not based on like daily batch files, then what good is the streaming based capability, right? So you have to kind of look at it from that perspective, and then you take your traditional, four quadrant approach, right? You look at complexity with value, and then you look for initiatives, you try to kind of get to the unicorn of high value low effort, which is typically low, but or yeah, high to medium value with low to medium effort, and then you start building out those capabilities, and then you kind of slowly kind of go towards the other part. And typically in data and AI, investments build on top of each other. Like typically what I see customers doing is they invest in customer capabilities. So you identify customers, you find out who are your common customers, you get a customer 360, then you look at the accounts associated with the customers, then you look at the transactions associated with the customer. So you kind of build out these concentric circles right around it, and that can evolve in a gradual fashion, and so can your ML and other kind of capabilities associated with it. The other thing that will go very hand in hand, and is because once you shape out your data strategy, you will also leverage it for not only for machine learning, you will also use it for analytics. So you will do it for operational dashboards or capabilities like that, and you will leverage any data visualization or storytelling tools to be able to tell a story about what your data is telling you, right? Whether changes in a particular structure is impacting another area, or because of the external influencing factors, maybe some world events like COVID, which happens very recently, very rarely, but hopefully, but also kind of like typical origin. If your business is very, let's say, seasonal in nature, so you can also look at it from a time based manner. And there are some businesses which are very, very focused on major events like Christmas or Diwali or things like that, and that's where you expect your data to grow in a very significant fashion. So those are the kind of areas, and you use that you lay out all your initiatives, you build some POCs, and then you select the initial sets, get learnings, build out teams, and then get mature, and then build out the next set of capabilities. So there is a gradual sort of working. You have to kind of crawl, walk, run in data or in AI, like in anything else.
Very true, Hitesh. We have to crawl, walk, and run, while doing POCs. But my specific question would be, what should the organizations examine before approving a data or AI pilot projects, the POCs that you talked about?
Yeah.
Is it the tech stack, integrations, APIs, cloud structure, MLOps, security? What are the
I mean,
factors?
all of those things are very important. You cannot not look at security. You have to look at data leakage and all the other kind of aspects. You have to look at MLOps and others. But I think the first thing is, what is that capability going to do to the business? Is it an efficiency play or is it a growth play? Right? Are you trying to grow your business or are you trying to be more efficient? Is it a contact center scenario where you are making your contact center reps much more efficient to deal with the increasing volume? Or are you trying to get more business by reaching out to other areas, or you are trying to make your servicing agents potentially have cross sell capabilities in that sense, right? So all of those things are important with the business values front and center. If there is no business value, everything else doesn't make sense, right? You can have the best tech stack, and if there is no business value, what's the point of that?
True, true. Makes sense. Makes complete sense. So, in an AI ready company, from a human resource perspective, what roles are non negotiable? And where do you draw the line between upskilling internal teams and hiring externally?
Yeah, so I think you got to do a mixture of both, right? Like in everything in life, it's a mix, it's a balancing act, right? Because if you just hire externally, then you will take time to grow those individuals into understanding your business and understanding your data entities. They'll take time to understand it, and then if you depend only on your internal, then you're kind of held hostage as well, right? So you have to kind of infuse some external talent into the organization, create some level of a peer pressure, if you may. I mean, I'll give you an example. I've actually been successful with leveraging interns to create some interesting concepts and say, and use that as a vehicle to transform, incent the other members of the team to be able to work with them in a collaborative way, learn the new technologies and on areas. I mean, you also want to build like some sort of knowledge share kind of with perhaps any other non-competing companies that you collaborate with. You can talk to your tech partners and they can work with your, like we do a lot of workshops where we bring in like customers in different geographies, and kind of you can learn from each other from that perspective, so you're not in a competitive manner. But it has to be a mixture of both. And from a roles perspective, I think you with data and AI particularly, and maybe I'm selfish in saying it, I think the role of an architect or a chief architect, or as an application architect or a domain architect, becomes very important, because you got to have a very good understanding of your footprint. You got to understand what is your end-to-end business processes, how the systems interact with each other, where is data getting created, where is data getting enhanced, how is the enrichment happening. So that flow is very important to understand. So that is an important role. And then in your depending on the size of your team, you need a data engineering team to kind of take the data and capture it from the source system. You can federate it out to your own system platforms if there is a maturity, but typically you create a data engineering team to kind of take the data, transform it, perhaps convert it into some sort of a semantic structure that is much more consumable by the analytics team or the ML team. And then there obviously there is a MLOps or platform team that provides the capabilities and the technology functions associated with it. More mature organizations are creating. I end up talking to a lot of customers who have roles like chief AI officer. Data officer is always has been a role for a long time, and that is more targeted towards data management and governance and other capabilities. Chief AI officer seems to be a lot more innovation heavy full role in trying to kind of look at it. Um, and if you are regulated industries like financial services and healthcare and insurance, you should also have a model risk management function, MRM, to be able to say, what are your models that you are building, and you have to have a review associated with them, because chances are, being a regulated industry, you may have to go to the regulator with telling them what are you using for what and what models are there. Use keep like versioning of those models. The other thing that is very important is to understand lineage of the data, and that is something that I find very in surprisingly, a lot of companies don't have that ability that well, right? So a lot of sometimes the lineage capability is documented in documents, which typically get stale once they are written. So now there are tooling that is emerging, around lineage, and I think using metadata and structure like that can be used to harness that. But that is another key component that is very foundational in nature.
So, what metrics and milestones gets prove it's working? When do you kill a pilot? And can you say a one before or after story, where readiness scores improved dramatically?
Yeah. I mean, I think you learn from all your experiences, good, whether it is positive or negative, right? I mean, there is a term in the business called fail fast. And the idea behind fail fast is not to say that you want to just fail, right? Nobody wants to fail. But the idea for fail fast is you want to be able to, put your effort, but be able to assess that, oh, this is not going anywhere. And so you want to pivot to another area, right? So that's kind of the theme of fail fast, or at least that's how I've internalized that, right? And I think you have to sort of, uh, you have to learn from your successes and failures, right, in those areas per se. So that is area. Now from an ROI perspective, I think you can have very simple metrics associated with it in from a core kind of capabilities perspective, right? I mentioned, you can say that a lot of the efforts that you're putting in are either related to growth, you're growing new customers, or you are on efficiency, or you are retaining customers. Maybe you have a churn issue, right, in that scenario. And those are kind of quite trackable from a business perspective. So it is quite possible that the capabilities that you created in AI may or may not have direct correlation with your increase in efficiency, or the increase in acquisitions, or that sort of a growth from that perspective. But you get an understanding of that, right, in that scenario. And then you can do A/B testing, right? A/B testing is essentially, you can have like multiple models, and one model can be tried for a set of customers, and the other model can be tried on another set of customers, and then you can see which model is working better, and that can tell you the idea of where to put your efforts and how to kind of grow it, right, in that sense. So that's another important technique to kind of leverage your understanding of AI.
So, the last one from my side it is. See, I just want to, get a message from you to the, wider audience, right? So there are no lots more work going on towards a recession. So being a chief architect, you have been, invested these many years into this industry, right? So how to, what are the factors, related to this particular recession? It is really the AI or something else?
Yeah, meaning I think I've seen, being part of the industry and having sent through the couple of bubbles and a couple of changes in the economy. I'm not an economist, and I don't want to pretend to be one. But I have always worked with, the companies that I worked with that have thrived in those areas are the companies that invest in those times, right? Like, I'll give you an example. In my one of my previous companies, we were there was a lot of discussion about in recession and how a lot of defaults will happen on credit, right? So rather than worry about it, we were creating programs that will help customers. So if you have a credit default and you have $10,000 that you got to pay, So we were coming up with innovative arrangements for customers to pay, and say you can pay it over 10 months, or you can pay it over 2 years, or whatever time frame, and we will discount it by that. So that way you are not like paying interest over interest over interest over interest, right? That is kind of how you get into collection scenario. See, nobody wants customers to go into collections, because everybody wants customers to be uh, beneficial to the organization. Once you go to the collections route, a, you don't even get the whole amount back, and b, and again, this example is of credit, but you can leverage some of similar examples associated with it. So I think smart companies are the ones that actually invest in downturns and really prepare for it, because that requires a different level of planning and different level of structuring your business and being ready to be creative with your business processes. And that's where you can see how nimble or rigid is your business process, right? Can you be a lot more flexible with your products, or are you very rigid with your products? And that will can define, like, if you're flexible, you can mold to the economy, levers. If you're rigid, then you may be either this way or that way, right? That sort of a paradigm you could have to look at.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for it,
Hitesh.
Hitesh.
Thank you. Thank you. I think this was a great conversation, Hitesh. You told us about how mature organizations build a process of iterations to make their data better. You told us about balancing quick wins versus strategic bets, and also balancing efficiency and growth in a POC. Right? Thank you. It was great conversation with you. Thank you for sharing your experience of so many years and telling us how an organization can be AI ready.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is one maybe parting thought is, there is this very interesting small book called Growth Mindset that has been created by some experts, and I really enjoy the core conceptions associated with it. It's like, and I think if you have your own mindset as an individual, with that paradigm, right, that you're trying to learn iteratively, you're trying to figure out how do you learn. I thrive in my job when I'm learning every day. And I think that is and I think if you do apply that to an organization about this growth mindset, I think that sort of goes a long way towards being prepared for whatever comes your way, and being prepared for the technology transformations that are happening. We are in a fascinating time where the pace of technology is like unbelievably fast, right? We are seeing business models getting changed. We are seeing kind of, you know roles, being redefined, of who is doing development and who is doing PR reviews and everything else. So it's an exciting time to be here in the data and AI world. And I wish everybody the best in their transformation journey, whether it is their own internal transformation as they transform themselves to prepare for the organization, or their own companies. You have to keep
Thank you,
constantly
Hitesh.
reinvent yourself. That's the net of it.
Yeah, that's a great advice, I think, for these times when everything is changing so fast.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. It was great chatting with you, and I think we can, as you can probably you can relate to, or you see, we can talk about this for hours, but this has been a fun talk. Thank you.